What's going on, Dunce's family? We are back with another episode of the Dunce's podcast. It is myself, Jay, Isandro, who looks very tired, but what's going on, bro? You look kind
What's
of
up, Jason?
look a little darker than usual, bro. Like why don't you
It's
have any
just
light on you?
Ilya took the light. He moved.
Oh, not oh, did you guys officially like move upstairs and stuff?
He did. He abandoned me.
Oh,
Also, it's symbolic of my mood. I'm depressed because we're about to do a net podcast,
yeah, that's something that we did not plan on doing. At least you didn't plan on doing. I kind of just came up with the idea like kind of right before we started talking. Like literally when I mentioned it to you right before we started the pod, I was like, hey, you know what? Clippers can wait because that was going to be the original
Yeah.
pod, but we're still going to be
Well, it
going
was
back
on the
to our
spot, but it kind of marinated a little bit because of the
yeah,
events of the day. You being a Nets fan, it
exactly.
kind of just it sat with you. So
Yeah, it just it felt like I needed to get some things off my chest and just kind of see another person's perspective, a person that isn't a fan of the Nets, just a basketball fan. So I want to see that, and then I also want to get into my just being a basketball fan, not just a Nets fan. But we'll definitely get back to those those clips or those videos on the entire NBA. We definitely have a lot more, but we definitely have a lot to talk about when it comes to the rest of this team. So without further ado, though, let's get into it, Isandro. The Nets are going through what we can say a disaster, I guess you can classify it as. As we all know, Kevin Durant on June 30th decided to air out his grievances and say, hey, I want to get out of Brooklyn, trade me ASAP. This is right before free agency started. But then kind of just halted, like there wasn't any traction, no movement because the Nets were asking for everything that other teams had, and it was tough because you have the one of the best players in the NBA, probably the best player in the NBA, asking for a trade. So the Nets are obviously looking at it like, okay, we're losing one of the best players, if not the best player. So we need to get the best package, if not the best package, back. And that's not really how these things work. But it gets even more complicated when you have a player like Ben Simmons on your roster, where you might want to trade for a young asset on that rookie extension because to make the money work, but now you can't because you already have Ben Simmons. And for those who don't know, this is a whole other separate issue where a team like the Nets cannot have two players under that rookie extension because they traded for Ben Simmons. If they would have had him before, then it would have been a whole other issue. But because of that rookie extension, rookie max extension, they aren't able to bring in another player. So Bam Adebayo is clearly off the table unless Ben Simmons is traded. Then you have the whole Kyrie Irving dilemma, where it's like he was on and off, and then he decided to opt in. And now he says he wants to play even if KD isn't there. It's a whole big thing. Then today we come with the news that he reiterated his request that he wants to be traded unless Steve Nash and Sean Marks are let go. Joe Tsai then publicly announces via Twitter that he is backing with his guys in Sean Marks and Steve Nash, which kind of opens the door to a Kevin Durant departure. A lot of things is what I just said right now, Isandro. But for you, as a basketball fan, how do you feel about this whole situation unraveling? Is it good for the league? I mean, Twitter's been dry. Let's be real. So, what do you think? How do you feel about it?
I don't think it's good or bad, to be honest. I kind of just want a resolution, but it's still technically early on in the proceedings, so to expect that is kind of naive. I guess we kind of just have to wait and see how things pan out. But my mindset is like they made some good moves. Like yeah, like you had your reasons, but to double down on it, KD, like I don't really understand it. It seems like a very KD thing, because it's like
KD thing.
not many other superstars would do something like this. But yeah,
I'll be honest with you. I mean, like I said before, I'm over the situation. I kind of just want everything to just be
kind of
done with
same, yeah.
already. Yeah, like I want it to be done with. As a Nets fan, I want it to be done with. As a basketball fan, I honestly don't care enough about the Nets because the Nets will never be relevant. It's sad to say, but the Nets will always be the little brother to the Knicks, even though for the last 20 years the Nets have technically had more success than the Knicks have. But the Knicks, they're such a storied franchise that as sorry as they are, as sorry of an owner that they have in James Dolan, there's still something about that atmosphere in New York, in the Mecca, than there is in Brooklyn. and it's not anybody's fault. It's just the way it is. It's like the Clippers and the Lakers. Clippers will never be the Lakers, and even if the Clippers have a better record these last 5 seasons against the Lakers, who is the more storied franchise? It's the Lakers, hands down. Like
Yeah.
so when it
Not
comes to
even just
this,
storied franchises, just like who performs. Like
yeah,
Clippers have always
in the
been the little
clutch,
brother,
right?
and then like you finally get Kawhi and PG, and then what have they done? That their best
Right,
chance came when Kawhi was injured, and
right.
it's kind of like a similar thing to the Nets Knicks situation where it's like, yeah, the Knicks haven't really done much since the '90s, but what have the Nets really done? Like they
Ever,
definitely, I mean, they made it to the
right?
finals, and then they got swept in the finals. It's like that's your peak, you know?
Yeah,
So
yeah. It's a really weird situation. Being a Nets fan and just being a fan of the NBA, looking at this team and how everything is going about. But for KD though, I'm not mad at him at all. I think he has every right to be upset with how they've handled the situation. But I think he's going about it the most professional way, and I'm putting air quotes here because he hasn't really gone to the media, which most players do. Um, but he's kind of just he's said everything internally. He's told Josiah straight up, it's either me or them, and I respect it. I love it, and I think every player should be able to do that. However, the Nets backed themselves up in this corner because they should have never given Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, or any player for that matter, so much leverage. It's not how the NBA works, and we know it. The only players to ever have so much leverage, to have so much say in their team because of the rosters they have made is LeBron James and Michael Jordan. Kobe to an extent, but those two guys and LeBron and MJ, they did everything they could to make their team the best team possible. And they weren't general managers. They were players. They were players that had so much power. Now, in KD situation and Kyrie situation, yeah, they proved things, right? But they proved things along with other superstars. KD won championships with other superstars. Now, do the Warriors win without KD? Probably not. But the KD Warriors just they were the best team in the league. Hands like there was no other team better than them. And then in Kyrie's situation, yeah, he formed. He performed in the clutch and he balled out with LeBron. But everybody alludes that championship to LeBron James and the Cavaliers. It's not LeBron and Kyrie and the Cavs. No, it's LeBron James and the Cavaliers. So now these two guys coming into an organization thinking that they're going to change the culture. No, the culture was already changed with Kenny and these young guys. It changed completely. We became a solid team. Then you guys come trying to instill something that just wasn't there. The firepower that these two guys should have definitely had. Um, Bringing in James Harden was the first domino to like completely destroy everything. We traded our whole core for one guy who played what, not even a year and a half because of injuries and all that stuff. And yet we were still able to somewhat push the Bucks, the championship team Bucks, to game 7, and we were barely, barely there. Like we could have won that game if KD wouldn't have stepped on the line. But then we go and we think, are these guys even worth it? Like these guys are not worth it for your organization. The Nets cannot have, this sitting on their backs because these guys are just so crazy. Like not crazy, but KD is gonna do whatever he wants to do. Kyrie is gonna do whatever he wants to do. But the Nets aren't about that. At least not these Nets. It's their fault from the beginning. They should have never given them so much, you know, air to just say whatever they wanted, to do whatever they wanted. And now look, it's kind of affecting them in a really bad way. But that's my thoughts on it as a Nets fan. How do you view it as? Do you think management kind of dug themselves in a hole, or is it just Kyrie and KD? Their connection was just too close, where there was just nothing you can do as an organization. Like, what do you think?
I mean, it's really tough because like when talents on the level of KD and Kyrie come to your door, and they want to, the two max slots, they want to go to you. They don't want to go to the Knicks. They want to go to you, right? It's hard to like turn that down, and then you kind of just say, here, like, blank check, just write whatever you want on it. The
Yeah,
reins are in your hands, hypothetically. But and I mean, it worked. It worked for a bit. Um, but this past year, as we saw, like it was definitely, and they knew this. It was definitely not a long-term solution, and we're starting to see like how things have unraveled really. And the biggest thing is that they're like, yeah, they improved obviously. Like you're not going to turn on KD and Kyrie, but they had a good thing going with that culture, with Kenny, with D'Lo, with Spencer
Dinwiddie,
Dinwiddie.
Allen. Yeah,
In my opinion, they probably should have built on that instead of completely tearing it down and getting rid of it. Because it's like you guys made bad decisions, obviously. That brought you out of the mud. So, yeah, things can't stay the same, but you shouldn't have gone in such a completely different direction from
yeah,
what was working and what got you out of that situation in the first place.
yeah. It sucks because on the one hand, like you said, you're getting KD and Kyrie. Like just the talent itself is just. Of course, you're gonna do whatever you can to get those two guys, right? But then you're also you built that culture and you just completely brought it down to the ground to get these two guys. And that's the thing, though. They didn't really do that at first. They had these guys still there. And they thought, okay, with this young core plus KD and Kyrie, these guys can learn and play alongside each other really well. But then Dinwiddie gets hurt, and they just, okay, they panic mode. Boom, we got to trade um, for Harden. And it's like, no, you didn't really have to trade for Harden. We all knew Harden was gonna go to Philly anyway. Like it was bound to happen. The whole story was there in Philly. And for the Nets side of things now, they depleted everything. They got rid of everything, and then they go off and now they're in this whole situation. So with everything that's happened, whose fault is it really? Is it KD's? Is it Kyrie's? Is it Sean Marks's? Or is it
It's
Steve
everybody's
Nash?
fault. It's just like a percentage of faults. It's everybody's fault, but it's like who gets
The
this much
most
blame, who
blame.
gets
Yeah.
this. Is there even a most, or is it like
I don't
split
even.
evenly, 25, 25, 25? Would you say it's like one group of people that like have most of the blame, or is it like
I can't.
split
I
50
can
50?
say that Kyrie has really big, obviously. Sean Marks, Steve Nash, obviously. I don't think KD deserves much blame. KD performed. KD tried a lot and he said all the right things. He did all the right things while on the roster. Now, everything that he's doing with this whole trade request, again, he's doing it the right way. He went to the owner himself. He, he brought his team with him. He reiterated his trade request and he told them exactly how he wants these things to be done. Now, is it fair to the organization? No, but at the same time, the organization brought that upon themselves for giving him so much power. So KD has done everything that's in his hands, he's been able to do. And
I think
I
he
think
gets some blame though,
I don't think so.
because
I can't
think
see
about
it.
it. Like KD, like you hear all the things about him being soft, a cupcake, and I'm not leaning too far into
Yeah.
that. But KD's kind of like you see, he's just going through the motions. Like he just doesn't really show Like I understand, like he does things behind the scenes, he does things the right way. But like if you're a top five player in the league, you
Yeah.
expect them to have a voice and to really like be more influential. KD was kind of just like, yeah, I guess. Oh, we'll go for Harden. Okay, cool.
No, but he
Oh,
was
we'll trade for
influential
Ben
in
Simmons.
those things
Okay,
though.
cool.
Yeah, like
But
he made that a point though.
he could have been more vocal about things that he wanted to get done and not to get done, right?
Right.
So I understand that maybe like yeah, he would have thought, yeah, James Harden, let's make whatever. Deep down, I feel like, and this is how it was at the beginning before the Spencer Dinwiddie trade, he didn't really want to go for Harden. He's like, I like this group of guys that we got here, whatever. And I think he even said something like that too. And then I guess things changed with Spencer Dinwiddie, but
Yeah.
he should have stuck to his guns. He should have been like, nah, I'm not going to do this. And it's not just him. There's other superstars in the league that have had that kind of blame. I mean, last year we saw it with LeBron James. I mean, I'm a LeBron
Yeah.
James fan. Russ should not have been on that team. I understand that like management made the decision, but you're LeBron James, and
No, LeBron had a lot to
like
say with it. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, exactly. So that was a mistake on his part too. So it's not just KD. I'm not a KD hater. Other superstars have got deserve blame too, but also it means that KD deserves some blame too. Like you are a factor in the way in the situ like the situation is the way it is now. there are multiple reasons why that is the
Right.
case, and you are one of them, in my opinion.
See, I would say yes to that, but not 25, 25, 25, 25. I think it's more like KD deserves at least, no, at most, really like 15% of it. Kyrie gets the other, right? Like what is that, 35? And then 25 and 25 to Sean Marks and upper management. And then the coaching staff. I think Steve Nash was a horrible hire from the beginning. I love Steve Nash as a player. I think he's a good player development coach, but he's not a good head coach. We saw it. The precedent that was that
It's like,
was that was
yeah,
there. No, he's not a good coach. Like, let's be real, bro. Like,
it's
he made
but
horrible
I'm like trying to
decisions.
think like the blame. I'm just trying to think like, do we blame him or do we blame the factors around him? Because we knew he wasn't a good coach, but so did management, and they knew that Ime Udoka and Mike D'Antoni were kind of carrying that offense as well as the three superstars that they had. And once those
Yep,
guys went,
that was my
it
next
kind of
point.
exposed Steve Nash.
Yep.
So yes, the fact that he got exposed, like yeah, you don't have your boys, your assistant coaches who are
Yeah.
actually really good head coaches. Um, they're carrying you, but now they're not there anymore. But at the same time, it's like people knew this. It's kind of like I know something and I don't do something about it, and then that thing happened. It's like, oh man, that sucks that that thing happened. It's like, well, you knew that was the case. You knew it was going to
Yeah.
happen, or you knew that that was the way it was. So it's kind of a little bit on your part too. It's like you probably should have done something about that. Like it should not have gone to this point.
Well, again, that's why I give a lot of the blame to management. Like, what point? Why would you
More
go
to
after
management than
him?
Steve, definitely.
Yeah. Why would you go? Well, no, because then once it became
No
Steve,
more, yeah.
like when once Steve became the head coach, he kind of the cards that were dealt with to him were who? Kyrie Irving, KD, Joe Harris, DeAndre Jordan, and I get it, DeAndre's just trash, right? But Claxton, you had solid pieces around you that you could have definitely worked with. But Steve Nash just didn't work it and incorporate it the way that he should have, and he knows it. He messed up a lot, and a lot
But
of
look,
a lot of look this past season. Did you watch the playoffs? You're telling me LaMarcus
yeah,
Aldridge, though the Celtics definitely were the better team. Let's not count them out, right? But you're telling me LaMarcus Aldridge couldn't have played a single minute in any of those games? Like LaMarcus would have been a slight difference compared to these other guys you decided to put in. It just didn't make any sense to me. There were certain rotations that he would put out there, and I'm like, bro, like that does not work. Like, why are you putting that duo or that 5-man rotation out there? Like, what's the point of it?
mhm.
Like
But
there was
look,
just so
you
many
can't
decisions that he made.
blame you can't blame a bad coach for being a bad coach. You can fire him for being a bad coach, or you can tell him to step up, but you can't blame him and then keep him around. That's where the fault lies.
I guess, yeah. So like so
It's
what
like
you're
the
saying is like a
nature thing.
35% with management and 15% with Nash. Kind of like what I said with KD and
All
Kyrie.
right, so
Kind of like
let's
it's
see.
like that.
KD is 15. Nash is like 25. How much do we get? That's 40.
That's 40 right there.
So 30 and 30 between Kyrie and management. I feel
Damn.
like that's fair.
Yeah, I guess.
What do you
I guess you
think?
can say that. Yeah, I mean, I would say Kyrie definitely deserves a lot of the blame too. Not because of the vaccination thing. That was, in fact, we should give five
That's
percent
part of
to
it
New
though.
York.
That
We should
is
give
because
we should give five
it's like
percent
you're
to New
getting
York. But
paid
yeah,
millions to play basketball.
right. But I
But
also
we've
understand.
talked about
Like,
that already.
yeah, at the end of the day, like it's your decision, right? But you're right. Like there's certain sacrifices that you probably should make, especially if you're doing it for the benefit of your team. You're not doing it for yourself. You're doing it for everybody around you. That includes KD. That includes management. That includes these people that paid you, millions and millions of dollars, right? But Kyrie deserves a lot of the blame because the whole Harden thing, the fact that the rift, it was all because of
He's
Kyrie.
he's never available. That's
It's
really, I mean, that
it's
the rift is
disgusting.
part of that, but from his whole career, but basically his entire Nets career, he's never available. KD was out, he tore his Achilles. Kyrie was out a good portion of that season too.
Yeah.
Not even because he like got a major like knee ligament injury.
Nope.
It was injuries, that kept him out.
Yeah.
Same thing with the Celtics, that played better without him. So
Yeah.
shockingly, it's like he's never available.
Right.
2015, if anybody wants to put an asterisk on that Warriors ring, when are K Love and Kyrie ever healthy?
Right.
It's like it's such a
Yeah.
big deal. It's like, yeah, Kyrie's one of the best players in the world when he's healthy, but he's never healthy. And the vaccination thing was a big deal, not because he wasn't
No, I
gonna get
remember.
vaccinated,
I
but
remember.
because Kyrie was actually healthy. It's like you're never available, and when you actually are, you're still not available. That's why
Yeah,
it's such a big thing, you know?
yeah. No, I'm all I understand where you're coming from, but I also look at it from a human perspective. It was unfair to Kyrie. Let's keep it a bug. It was unfair. Now, as a basketball, when it comes to hooping and to straight, playing on the court, it was unfair to your teammates. It was unfair to KD. It was unfair to your management, your coaching staff. At the end of the day, we all know Kyrie doesn't care about anybody but himself. Let's be real. He doesn't care, and he can, and when it comes to balling, like he's not. He's the best one-on-one player in the league. Like no question about it. Like he's that good. Kyrie could be on Steph's level if he wanted to be, but he just doesn't want to be. Right? Like that's how good I think Kyrie Irving is. But because of that whole thing that went on, he definitely deserves a big chunk of the blame. But I'm always gonna go to how management handled the situation, allowing these guys to do whatever the hell they wanted. It was really unfair to the Nets organization and to Nets fan base, which honestly feels like it's non-existent because you don't hear any Nets fans out there in the world. It's like being I don't know, like a Timberwolves fan. Like who's a Timberwolves fan? Shout out my boy Ariel. But now, with all this being said, with everything going down now, do you think this is worse than the KG Paul Pierce trade, or do we still have to see what happens with KD? But I'm just talking the situation. Do you think it's going? Is
Situation.
it a worse?
Nothing is ever gonna top that because that was generational. Because it was unprecedented what they did, and something like that would never ever happen with the front office ever again.
Well,
Even if a front office is incompetent, they're gonna
Minnesota.
look at that trade. But no, this is different. Rudy Gobert will actually make a difference on that team.
Yeah,
He's not probably not going to make them contenders, but you're getting like you're comparing a Rudy Gobert trade where you're giving away your future, which isn't good, to you're giving your future, but you're also not winning anything now. You're not even relevant now.
yeah,
Like the most they got was a top 5 seed. You know, they were like a fourth or a fifth seed for like 2 seasons. And
yeah,
KG, the year after he got traded, started averaging like 9 and 6 or something like that. And then
yeah. It was
Paul
bad. I
Pierce
remember. I was
got traded to like
only
the Clippers.
played.
It was bad. I mean,
No.
yeah, you've been a Nets
So
fan your whole
yeah,
life,
Paul
you know.
Pierce only played for a year and then he
And
left.
Jason Terry too. Let's not forget about that. He was
He was
old as heck.
like he was there for like a month and then he left.
Uh
It
huh.
was it was a bad team. I remember. Horrible.
It was such a bad trade, such a bad. So nothing will ever top it in terms of not what you're giving, but what you're getting in return. Anytime somebody in the future is going to trade something,
Yeah.
they're going to get at least something. It's like, oh, you're overpaid for Bradley Beal. Yeah, at least it's Bradley Beal. It's not a 37 year or
Yeah.
35-year old, you know. But what was the question? What'd you say?
Basically it was will it be worse, which you kind of answered. You said no.
Ah, yeah.
But
Nah,
the
nothing.
situation itself is
I don't
anything
think it's
going
that
to
bad
top
either,
this?
though.
No, really?
It's not going to be because that was literally rock bottom. This isn't going to be rock bottom because you have Ben Simmons, and even if he's not going to be the same Ben Simmons that we've known from before, maybe due to injury,
Yeah.
he's still going to keep. He's still going to be nice, and you have
How do you think he
other
feels about it?
assets.
How do you think he feels
I
about this whole
really do
situation?
not think he cares. I just think he's just throwing his hands up in the air because because he can't complain because the Philly situation was 100% all him.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
was all him. So now he's here. He can say like, "Oh, I'm in another situation. Woe is me." It's like, well, my brother in Christ, you literally were the reason why you were in that situation last time. So you can't
Right.
complain about last time. This time, I guess you can say things aren't really, falling into your lap. I'm sorry if you're entitled, which I heard, he does feel
He
entitled
has that.
sometimes.
Right.
Yeah, but you saw what I mean, we
I
all
know.
saw what he posted the day
Yeah.
KD dropped the request. He was just chilling. Like he really
Right.
does not care. He's gonna get
Yeah.
paid. He's gonna ball out. He's still young, and maybe this will, either way for him. Actually, if things, do hit rock bottom, they can reset and they can build around him, and then
Which is
from
what
there we
I
can
think they
finally
should
see.
do. They should definitely do.
This
I
is
mean,
what you've been saying for years. Exactly.
yeah, I'm always been a Ben Simmons. I've always loved him, and I feel like he's going to do great with our team. But with that being said, we're definitely gonna get into this roster in a few days. maybe in a few weeks. Hopefully by training camp, KD is traded. But do you think that with this KD trade request, does Kyrie Irving have to be gone too, or is it just a 1 year rental and then just let him go after? Like, what do you think?
Yeah, honestly, it doesn't really matter if he stays or goes. I mean, I think I said this in a previous pod. Like, he could play out the last year. It really does not matter. Like, they don't need to get rid of him. They don't need to
Yeah,
keep him. It does not matter. Um, it would be ideal if they got rid of him because then that means you're actually getting something back. But
but at this
again,
point, they're kind of just like giving up. Like, it is what it is now.
like throw your hands up. Yeah,
Yeah,
whatever. Because even if you don't get anything for him, he's gonna be off the books. That's a headache off of your chest. Like a weight lifted off of your chest. Even though he is a very good player, the problems that come with him definitely do not. Like it doesn't suit the Nets.
yeah,
We don't need this right now. They have other things to deal with.
it's tough. It's tough being in this position if you're in the Nets organization, if you're just a fan of the Nets, and if you're a fan of the NBA, you're loving this because, like I said, Twitter has been dry. The most recent thing we saw was what Paolo Banchero and Dejounte Murray beefing, even though they're both
Yeah,
from Seattle.
it
Weird, but it
makes no
makes
sense.
it made for some good content for like
I
a
guess like
second.
Dejounte, why are you beefing with like he's not even a rookie. He hasn't even played a single
Well,
NBA game yet. Calm down, bro.
hey, listen, I get it though, because Paolo was talking a lot of trash, talking about I'm the number one pick, and Dejounte's like, nah, bro, like it's my league. It's not really his
It's
league,
it's,
but
it's, it's,
like in
it's really not.
Like Seattle's
It's
way,
not even your team, brother.
like Seattle is, like Dejounte is Seattle, Jamal Crawford was, you know what I mean. Whatever. Thing is though, that was like the biggest thing
Yeah.
up until this whole thing that went on. And shout out Joe Tsai, man. I love that he's not like, yeah, like this is the players league. No, no, no. He's like, listen, I gotta do what's best for me and my team, right? Like I don't care about you, KD. I don't care about you, Kyrie. I care about me and about my team. So whatever happens, I trust my management. As much as I would love for them to fire Nash and somehow get Tyronn Lue because I feel like he should have been our hire from the beginning. But that
It
would have
should
been
have
cute.
been any like I
Anybody but
was saying,
Nash.
his assistant coaches were literally better head coaches than him.
Udoka.
He
Udoka.
literally Udoka went to another team,
And brought him
rocky
to the
start that led them
finals.
to a finals berth, and he's done more in a year with a random team than Nash has, and it's going to be his third year now. It's been 2 years, so it's
Yeah.
like they could have They could have. How long was Udoka on that bench, by the way, before he went to the
I
Celtics?
think he was just there for a year because he was in Philly before. That's what
Ah,
I
okay,
remember. I
okay.
remember when Udoka was hired. You remember what I said? Like I was like super
Oh, you
gassed
were
and like super
hyped, yeah.
excited. And I was like, and
As
I
in
think I mentioned it. I think I said he should have probably been our head coach. Like if it's not Nash, and it should have been Udoka. I said it.
Jamie, pull that up.
Damn it,
hmm
man. Freaking hate life right now. But with that being said, Isandro, that's where we're at. I don't know. I don't know what else to say. This is the Nets. Something bad always happens with them. I know it. I've been a Nets fan all my life. What can I say? But with that being said, we're definitely going to get into way more videos this upcoming week. Stay tuned still for that non-sports. It will be posted. If not this week, then definitely next week. Just have a lot of stuff going on. We have a lot of ideas also for the podcast. So I'm trying to scramble, doing a bunch of stuff. So I'll definitely try to have it edited by at least this week, definitely posted by next week, but hopefully we can get it done sooner rather than later. But for now, please like, subscribe, and hit the like button down below. Shout us out to all your friends, families, cats, dogs, brothers, and sisters. And listen to all our social media platforms. We are on Twitter, we are on Instagram. If you want to listen to us on our podcasting platforms, we're on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, all the podcasts if you can think of. And we are out. Peace.